Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
How do we coach people? How do we motivate people during such a tumultuous time? What do we need to do? How do we do it? I go back to a couple different thoughts, and I go back to a couple different theories, but I really go back to what we need to do as leaders. And I think about this time as such a unique time, a time we may never experience again, maybe not for another 20, 30, 40 years. If you're a leader, this is your time to cement trust. And I go back to 3 specific things: behaviors, action, and follow-up. How we behave creates perceptions. How your employees behave create perceptions. Our actions or lack thereof will either create or break loyalty. Our follow-up creates the next step as we get out of this thing or come out in the back end of this new normal. Let me give you an example. Years ago, we worked with a boating manufacturing company. Recession was terrible. Our company was hired. We were working in the parts and accessory area. Engine sales were dramatically down, and people were scared. There were layoffs. Really a tough time to start a contract and put in a coaching system and have people follow you, especially as an outsider. And so we did something very unique. Instead of calling people to sell them props and boating oil, which is what we did something different because we noticed something. Well, we're on hold. We're putting all our money into boat shows. And our customer base were boat dealers. And we had about 4,000 customers throughout the country. So instead of trying to switch the conversation back to what we wanted, which was to sell them boat oil and props and accessories, we changed our behavior. We said, that's awesome. When's your next boat show? Well, it's in July. Awesome. I'd like to send you a couple articles. We created a checklist of running a successful boat show, and I got a couple articles. Would you mind if I put that in an envelope and mailed it to you? And yes, we didn't email it, we mailed it. And the boat dealers were like, well, sure, that'd be great. We then would follow up and say, by the way, did you get that package? Yes, we used some of the information. We had a great boat show. Thank you. I don't say this to brag or to be overzealous, but I go back to one fundamental fact. We were breaking up the normal conversation. Our new normal was a recession. But we needed to change our behaviors, our actions, and our follow-up. We had to change the way we were perceived. Because if we were going to call and simply transactionally get people back to what we wanted to do, which was sell them boat oil, we knew we ran the risk of losing them. And that's a tough thing to do because you're spending your time, your energy, your money to not do what you're getting paid for. To a certain element, there's a risk. But our behaviors were upbeat. We're going to help you. Our actions, we created tips and checklists and strategies to help our customers. And then we had a creative follow-up. Typically, it was a phone call, but it was also a thank you card. I hope your boat show went well. So as a leader, what behaviors do your people need to change and demonstrate to your customer base? What actions could they take that would be helpful, that would create loyalty with your customers and your distributors? And how can they creatively follow up? to build a sprint, to build a transition when we come out of this new normal to the benefit of both organizations. So as leaders, we have to look in the mirror and we have to ask ourselves, are we demonstrating the right behaviors as a leader? Are we showing the actions? Are we following up with our people? See, what happens when we lead and what happens when we coach and when we use some of the fundamentals of coaching, of praising and acknowledging people's strengths, especially during these times, this is your time to build loyalty. This is your time for your people to look at you as a leader and say, I would follow he, I would follow she. They led us out of a tumultuous time. Now, I don't think we ever ask for these times to build loyalty with our people. I don't think we ever want these times to show how good we are as leaders. Nevertheless, this is your time. Coaching is about leveraging strengths, acknowledging where they're improving, showing appreciation, challenging them with a smile, praising them publicly with an email to the whole group and copying the upper level management and the presidents. We need to lead people out of this. Silence at this point in time as a leader is one of the riskiest things you can have. When there is silence, it becomes very loud in the minds of your employees. When people aren't being led, they don't automatically or arbitrarily gravitate to, oh, our boss has got this. We haven't heard from him in a couple weeks, but he's really on top of things. It's not the way it works. Most people, when they're silenced, gravitate to the concern, the fear, the worry. So when we're communicating, when we're coaching, and coaching's about praising and asking questions and finding out where people are comfortable and uncomfortable and guiding and mentoring and challenging and discussing. And if you do that during this time, and when we come out of this new normal, guess what happens? People will follow you. They'll go through a thicker wall for you. Now, how do we do that again? What are our behaviors? And how do you change your behaviors? Ask yourself, what perception do I want to present to my people? Maybe it's confidence, assurance, happiness, engagement. Then you have to ask yourself, what actions do I need to demonstrate to facilitate that perception? And how can I creatively follow up with my own people to let them know that I care? So the 3-step process: behaviors, actions, and follow-up. You will ultimately create a leadership and a coaching brand. And I would even dare say this to you. As I think unemployment's going to go higher, I think we're going to have more people looking for jobs. It's already started. And I look at these things and I say to myself, how does this create a unique opportunity? If you lead your people, if you guide them, if you can make them feel a little bit more comfortable, and we come out of this thing, and you come out of this thing successfully, guess what happens? Their loyalty, their devotion, their willingness and ability to work harder for you dramatically increases. Recently, I was talking to a supervisor of one of our client sites, and she was having discord with her employer, and she was kind of complaining, and all the companies that she was interviewing with are no longer hiring, abruptly stopped. And she thought for sure she had choices. Now all of a sudden she finds herself in a really weird space. Her people aren't following her because she's been distant. She's kind of got one foot out the door. Now she's got to bring her foot back in. She said, what do I do? And I said, how do you want people to perceive you? She tells me, and I said, great, what are the behaviors you need to demonstrate? What actions do you need to take to support those behaviors? And how are you going to follow up positively with each and every one of your employees? Then the process of rebuilding loyalty will start. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21 day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.